Hey folks, so it's Kelly over here at Patient PT, and I just wanted to make this video to talk a little bit about masks and clear up some misconceptions. But the main thing that I wanted to make sure that I do before I get this done, and I know I get a little rambly, is show you guys how to properly put a mask on and take it back off again. So, anatomy of a surgical mask, you've got your ear elastics over here, you have this portion that has kind of a twisty tie thing in it to hold it against your nose, and you've got these flaps, all right? So first, the outside is the part where the flaps point down. That's because if you get something splashed on your face while you are wearing a surgical mask, it's not going to pool up in these upward facing folds, okay? It's facing downwards, it'll be more likely to just run down so that you can get that mask off of your face and go get a fresh one, okay? That is a big reason why a lot of folks are confused about whether or not you should use masks. It's kind of hard to actually use them properly so that they are as protective as they possibly can be. And for medical personnel, those sorts of things are very important. But when you are wearing a mask mainly to protect others from the germs that you might be spreading, or just to give yourself a little bit of reassurance when you are going out of the house on a limited basis during this period of social isolation, you don't need to worry so much about all of those things, okay? The main thing that you want to remember is definitely don't wear the mask for a while, take it off, put the inside part down on just like whatever surface is around, like because you're eating or something, and then put it right back onto your face, okay? That is the main thing that people are talking about when they talk about like wearing a mask is maybe, you know, worse than nothing at all, okay? The other thing is there is a right and a wrong way to put one on, okay? And again, you can definitely get a little bit too wrapped up in the details, especially when you are a medical person and it's your job to protect people at, you know, all costs and not spread pandemics and things. But don't get too hung up on those things when you are just wearing these to kind of protect yourself in public places, unless you're immunocompromised, okay? You want to take those things fairly serious if you're immunocompromised. But to put this thing on your face the right way, and keeping in mind, this one is like no longer particularly clean because I've been like touching the surface of it and everything, and that is really the important thing, is keeping this filtration surface clean. The proper way to put it on is to place this part up against the bridge of your nose, mostly touching the elastics, okay? Get those elastics tucked behind your ears. Pull it down so that it goes all the way underneath your chin here, and then push down on that little wire guard up by your nose so that you get a little bit better of a fit. And you can see, now that it is on my face properly, I've got a pretty tight fit everywhere. And there's not going to be a lot of air getting in around the mask. So all of the air that's getting in towards my mouth is going through this nice filtration surface. All right. So that's the proper way to put one on. And you don't want to touch it while it's on. If it gets wet for some reason while it's on, you want to take it off and swap it for a clean mask. Okay. So and that's another reason that there's been some controversy over whether people should or should not be wearing masks, okay? The main reason is just because people wanted to definitely get across the message that people working in hospitals on the front lines against this pandemic need the medical grade protective equipment way more than any of the rest of us, including me. But beyond that, the fabric masks that are you know, made of like cotton materials and stuff like that, they are not as protective because they're made of things like woven materials, okay? So woven is when the fibers of the fabric sort of crisscross each other, and you can usually see that in a fabric when it is woven, okay? And the problem with woven fabrics is you don't really want to use those in medical grade masks because those crisscross fibers have little holes in between, okay, where the germs can sneak through. So surgical masks and the more protective version, N95s, are made of what is called melt-blown non-woven fabric, okay? So that's kind of like felt, and a lot of paper products like tissues and sanitizing wipes are made of made via that same process that's similar to felting, where it's a bunch of little individual fibers that are spread out over a surface and fused together, usually with heat or, sometimes chemical processes and stuff like that. Okay, so speaking of chemical processes, you definitely want to wash any fabric surgical mask that you buy or make before you put it on your face. I have really sensitive skin. It's really easy for me to break out. And I will admit to you that these masks that I had made for my office are not the softest. They're definitely not the prettiest. The way that I had these made was entirely for utilitarian purposes, okay? I wanted to sort of encourage myself to use these like disposable masks, even though they are washable. I want them to feel mostly like a disposable mask, like relatively light, relatively easy to breathe through. But I also wanted to make sure that they were inexpensive, because I can't afford to, buy a more kind of complicated bunch of them, okay? Like I could pay $10 or $15 for one nice cotton mask, and I'm not much of a seamstress, so making one is not much of an option for me. But when it comes to needing bunches of them, like folks who work with people in clinical environments like I do, you need multiples, okay? So I knew that I would need at least 5 or 10, so that if I did end up at some point needing to wear these all day long, which hopefully I won't, that I would have several so that I could swap out, so that any time that I accidentally touch my face, if I'm in any way concerned that I will be contaminated for whatever reason, I can take that mask off just like I'm supposed to, get my hand sanitizer or wash my hands, and then go and get a fresh mask and put that one on, okay? So these are some of the concerns that folks have been trying to talk about and mostly kind of causing some confusion